Welcome on back to a new edition of the N Harmon Show. I'm Dalton Wicks alongside Eric Harmon.
Dalton, on this week's episode, we're a week and a half away from the end of the MLB regular season. Week 3 of the NFL season right around the corner. We got an update on all your Bay Area squads. Dalton, let's get into this.
Let's do it. It's been a little while since we touched on some baseball. Got to catch up on the pennant race, everything that's leading up to October. Things are getting exciting.
Little disappointing for the local teams, but other than that, baseball is very exciting.
Of course, but the exciting baseball is just around the corner. The long grind of a 162-game season finally starting to pay off dividends right around this time of year. So we're about to jump into it, and of course, we're just getting into the meat and potatoes of the NFL season.
We're about to figure out when teams are real. Week 3 through 6 is really good at determining.
You're going to find out who's really in it this year and who's, going to start looking forward to the next year.
And how injuries might affect some teams.
All right, so Minnesota. I think first we're going to start off with a little bit of baseball. It's been a little while since we touched on it, so let's jump on in.
I mean, the playoff picture is almost set at this point, correct?
Yeah, basically. Division race is pretty much set at this point. Mainly just going to be a wild card. So your division winners right now looking like Texas, Boston, and Cleveland over in the American League, and then the Chicago Cubs, Washington Nationals, and Los Angeles Dodgers over in the National League. So for wild card teams, AL is a little bit nuts right now, although Baltimore and Toronto do have a little bit of a lead over Detroit, Houston, and Seattle. Those three teams could still make a run at this point, all sitting within about 3 games or so. So Baltimore and Detroit currently sitting at those 2 top spots, and over in the National League, it's a 3-team race, and it is as close as you can get as all 3 teams are tied. You've got the New York Mets, St. Louis Cardinals, and the hometown San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, the NL wild card has been just terrifying because you've known as a Giants fan, knowing the entire time just how we've been playing in the second half, and it only is going to take a small run for any of these teams to actually catch up to us, and now it's finally happened with 10 days left, 14 days left. Like, it's just, my hopes aren't high for the San Francisco Giants, but it's going to be a fun race. I mean, they've got good series coming up in the next, so it's going to be fun to see how they respond and if they can turn around, especially after some crazy stuff that's been happening this last week or so with the Giants.
Yeah. Okay, and then we'll look at some injury updates real quick. Okay, so the man is back. Clayton Kershaw, He's back in action. He's looking as good as ever, really. Slowly worked back up. He started off with a couple of real short outings, but now he's starting to lengthen them as he's going along, and he's looking like he hasn't really missed a beat.
Yeah, you're looking at his last game. He pitched 6 innings against the Giants, got the win on the 19th, and then before that had a 5-inning game against the Yankees, pitched 5-inning games, no earned runs, and then before that he was talking about that small start you're talking about, September 9th. He only went 3 innings, kind of got hit a little bit in those 3 innings, gave up 2 runs, but I mean, when you give up only 2 runs over 12 innings through your first 3 starts, you could come back from an injury like that that's kept you out for so long. If I wasn't a Giants fan, I'd say it's good to see him back, objectively. But subjectively, this really sucks.
Well, see, we have to make a trade with the baseball gods here. So we get Kershaw back, but unfortunately, the New York Mets roster was decimated.
So you mean this is like a legit trade? Like he looked at both sides and like, okay, this is Clayton Kershaw's value. Mets, you are paying for this now.
We have to go through a list of everybody who's on this New York Mets disabled list right now. It's pretty awful at this point. You've got Jacob deGrom.
Another one.
Matt Harvey.
Another one.
Steven Matz.
Another one.
Jonathan Neese.
Another one.
And Zach Wheeler. So they have an entire starting rotation by itself that's just sitting on the shelf right now. deGrom's officially out for the year. Wheeler's been out already with Tommy John. Neese is out with surgery. Matz might be making his way back soon. Harvey's out for sure. So Matz is the only guy that you're even hoping to get back, and that's terrible. And then on top of all that, You've got Bartolo Colon getting towards his mid-40s now in the starting rotation, and then Noah Syndergaard's been pitching with bone chips in his elbow.
And yet somehow, despite all of this, they're still right in the middle.
That's not even to mention the fact that Wilmer Flores,
another one,
Neil Walker,
another one,
and David Wright are all also on the DL on the offensive side of things. And Neil Walker and David Wright specifically, those hurt because those are their starting guys at second and third.
And there's something like 11-6 over this month of September, too. So they've been making that push as strong as anyone, despite all these injuries. To make that move is, I don't know if that's a testament to their organizational depth, to their coaching staff, to just their players' ability to step up. But it's come together in this month of September for them. It's been very, very nice.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that they've made their way to this point with so much adversity to overcome.
You look at their last 9 games or so, and
they have a shot if they're going to be playing teams like the Phillies
exactly.
and stuff like
it's
that.
It's 1 game left against the Braves, a 4-game set against the Phillies, 3 games set against the Marlins, which will be very important, and then another set against the Phillies. If the schedule does favor them to make a run, I'd say with these, not saying weak, but Philly's pretty weak, and then Atlanta, you get 1 game. The Marlins series is going to be the one.
That's going to be the one.
That's the one that determines it.
You hopefully want to avoid any Jose Fernandez. And, dude, Giancarlo Stanton's been heating up quite a bit lately, too.
Yeah, that's good to see. I wonder...
Stanton is back. We need to mention that real quick. He's already popped a few bombs since coming back from his groin strain. And I think it's too late for the Marlins, obviously, at this point, to make a run at the wild card. I think they're sitting at least 5 games back, but it's going to be nice for him to finish the season on a good note. I mean, he's got 27 home runs, and he's missed so much time. Can you imagine if this guy stayed healthy every season, what his home run totals would be sitting at?
Yeah, that's the great conundrum, though. It's you've never seen it actually happen. So
yeah,
but yeah, 27 home runs in 112 games. That's just still a
112 games.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy is that the year before he had 27 home runs in 74 games.
74 games.
Like
wow.
At the beginning of this season, there was a lot of talk about how people thought that he had lost it too.
Yeah.
So it was thought like the injury, the facial structure injury, had really like messed with his head. He wasn't there. No, he just put out. It took him a little while. He put out 27 home runs, and I can assume that pace will continue. I'm hoping that he's back from it and everything, and he's ready to go because he's one of the most entertaining players in baseball.
Agreed. And the Marlins better hope that he hasn't lost it yet because they've still got quite a few of the years on that 13-year, $300 million deal.
That's like the fakest
left.
deal, though, right? Isn't there like a bunch of outs on that thing? Where
there's a bunch of outs, but I mean, if he's not doing anything to really make his market value any higher, why opt out? I mean, it's an extremely backloaded contract, so he wants to get to that money.
I never trust a Jeffrey Loria deal. That's just the way I look at it.
And I think all the outs are just with him. It's not with the team, so it's
okay.
Like
that changes things.
He's got control over that. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to Cleveland. The Indians. That was a big blow to the Cleveland Indians. Carlos Carrasco fractures his right hand after getting struck by a line drive by Ian Kinsler the other day. That's a big blow just because this is a staff that heavily relies on that really good pitching staff like Danny Salazar, Carrasco himself, Corey Kluber, a perennial Cy Young candidate. Now when you start to lose some of that depth, it's kind of like the Mets, where it's now all of a sudden that's what you were really leaning on, and now you just need to really try to find ways to win every
Especially
game.
Going into these playoffs with teams with scary lineups in the Texas Rangers, the Boston Red Sox. It's just just as you said, Cleveland losing a little bit of their identity, their pitching staff, how good it is. They're also a good hitting team too, but when you have 3 good hitting teams, what differentiates it is going to be that pitching staff, and losing an arm like Carlos Carrasco is...
See, this is where I think you're right. In the regular season, they're a really good hitting team. This is why I don't buy it for the playoffs, is because Mike Napoli's one of these good hitters. He's had a lot of power this year, a lot of home runs, but in the postseason, as a guy who's getting a little bit older, and he's a guy who tends to strike out a little bit too much, I feel like that's going to become an issue in the playoffs when he faces good pitching every single game. And Carlos Santana is also kind of in the same boat. Those are 2 guys that just swing for the fences all the time.
But they now have Cocoa Crisp.
Rice Krispies Cocoa.
That's true. That's
so
true.
I think that changes everything.
My man Coco's over there, and he's about to hold it down. He's Mr. Clutch. I think that was for a playoff scenario. That was a good get for the Indians.
He can still steal a base.
Yeah, he can.
And that's
I
as
think
Dave
it's
Roberts
it's
showed.
more for his bat.
Yeah,
honestly, it's not like he's gonna pound a couple home runs in the postseason, but he's really clutch with the bat. So
he hasn't shown it so far this season though for Cleveland. He's batting 156. So
yeah, well, he tends to save it for the playoffs.
Okay. All right,
Honestly,
gotcha,
he does.
gotcha.
And before he went to Cleveland, he did have one of the higher batting averages in all of baseball with runners in scoring position.
so he's clutch. So he's super clutch.
He's pretty clutch.
All right, gotcha.
So the last injury we want to make note of is, unfortunately for Eric, Steven Strasburg is battling some more issues. He was diagnosed with a strained flexor mass, and he's going to be missing a little bit of time, if not most of the rest of the season. So I think it's kind of playing it by ear with him.
Yeah, which is terrible for a fantasy baseball owner. Because you can't, especially in a keeper league, which is the league I'm in, and he's one of my keepers, because I can't drop him, or else that'd give him to everyone else. Can't put him on the DL right now because he's day-to-day, and of course he can't play. So I just have this roster spot dedicated to Steven Strasburg, and I know this is the least baseball-y reason and the most fantasy baseball reason to be angry ever. But man, I'm steamed right now. I've got $180 on the line. This is the final week. This is the championship week. And I am losing starts from Strasburg. So Washington, you need to put him out there, all right? And get me a start. All right, I'm done. Rant over.
They don't want to put him out there, though, a guy who's already had Tommy Johns. I feel like that's the case with so many of these pitchers nowadays. They've had some sort of significant injury already, so you really feel like you want to baby them.
I'm sending a fax to the Washington National staff as we speak, all right? They're going to get it done.
All right. All right, we're going to jump into some Bay Area baseball now. Green and gold, the Fighting Bob Melvins. That's pretty much what you can call this team at this point. I mean, especially with all the roster turnover and everything. The one constant is Bob Melvin still sitting at the helm.
Locking it down.
Oh, I love Bob Melvin. He's such a good sport for hanging around there. He's such a calm guy too.
That's good. It's what you need when there's a lot of turnover. I mean, a calming presence in the dugout to
I
just
agree.
be that albatross. Just be there, you know, like the guy, the one, like, you know, the person you can just, you know, he's there.
It's funny because whenever he goes out to RU calls sometimes, he's normally just that guy that comes out there, he's like, I just want to know what's going on. Kind of, like, he's not going to be all Lou Piniella on you, like, right, just start to scream and yell. He just goes out there like, I just don't know what's happening. Can you explain it to me, please? It's like kind
I'm
of like
very confused right now.
It's kind of passive aggressive almost, where he's like, he's kind of pissed, but really not. Anyway, so why am I really excited right now, Eric?
Oh, I know why you are excited right now. A certain member of the Oakland Athletics is no longer a member of the Oakland Athletics.
Yes, it's happened. It's happened. I've been waiting for so long. I feel so good.
How many months has it been since you've been asking for his release?
Since he signed?
We haven't even said his name yet, so I mean,
Maybe we should just not say his name and just let our viewers figure out who we're talking
Come
about.
on, if you know me at all whatsoever, it's Billy Butler.
The BB.
Billy Butler, Mr. Country Breakfast. He's eating his breakfast over in New York now. The A's, the A's cut him. For some reason that is beyond me, the Yankees signed him for the rest of the season.
Did they really?
You know what? You do you, man. I don't care. We got rid of him. That's all I care about. Yeah, we're going to be on the hook for his salary next year. I don't care. I'd rather just pay him salary to leave. That's fine with me. It's an experiment that went so horribly wrong.
When it first got announced, I was like, you know what? Billy Butler, he seems like a character that can really fit in with these roster of characters here at the Oakland A's, and it turned out to be anything but.
Yeah, I think it turns out that Kansas City saw something where he was clearly coming up on the decline, and that's why they didn't re-sign him. They let Oakland go ahead and pick him up. So he's gone. That's absolutely terrific news for the A's and for fans. It actually has been a pretty good time for the A's lately. I mean, we had a pretty nice little trip. I think we won 6 out of 7 games. It was a nice little click, and the offense has been a big part of it. We've had Chris Davis is the first guy since Jason Giambi back in the day to hit 40 home runs as an Oakland A.
Wow.
And he's about to hit the 100 RBI mark, so that's a hell of a year for an A to have. And Marcus Semien as a shortstop's hit 25 bombs, so decent year for him. And then also the two rookies, I want to give shout-outs to. Ryan Healy has been absolutely terrific for the A's.
Yeah.
11 home runs, 30 RBIs, 16 doubles, and a 307 batting average on the year.
Leading the team in batting average, a 342 OPS2 and a 524 slugging percentage. That is some killer stats to start the season.
And then not too far behind him,
career.
you got Joey Wendell, another rookie who's also hitting it at a clip of 302. Valencia still had a pretty decent season. He's still hitting at a clip of 287. And even Bruce Maxwell, the catcher, has been hitting a little bit better, up at 266, and he hit his first home run the other day. So the offense is just starting to really click again. Oh, and by the way, it was Kansas City. Kansas City, we beat the stuffing out of. Did you see that we put up 16 runs against the Kansas City Royals one day?
I did not see that.
And I'm pretty sure we put up at least 12 against them another game in that series. So we were just
Is this
clobbering
the rookies
them.
leading this offense? Is this?
I mean, Healy was a big part of it. He hit a ball so flippin' far. It was the 5th longest home run hit in the majors this year at like 480 feet or something like that.
Okay.
So
the A's have some 23, 24-year-olds, I guess, now that are 24-year-olds that are just killing it.
Yeah.
Because there's another guy who's on the mound who's just...
Yeah. So this guy, Jarrell Cotton,
Yes.
that we got from the trade with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and now you guys don't have to deal with him.
Yeah.
Coming up in the future.
He's on my fantasy baseball team. I picked him up when I...
See, the A's
been
still
killing it.
got the Giants back. We're taking
Yeah.
him over into the American League. Jarrell Cotton, this guy comes up. He was struggling a little bit. I mean, he's still a pretty highly touted prospect. Struggled a little bit at AAA, but then all of a sudden he comes over to the A's organization, is a pitch away from throwing a perfect game down in AAA. So he's really starting to click. They bring him up, and he's just been absolutely carrying it over straight into the big leagues. Sitting pretty at a 1.50 ERA right now through 18 innings. That's pretty dang solid, if I do say so myself.
11 strikeouts through.
And an opponent's
17
batting
innings.
average of a 169. That's really good.
He's not missing a lot of bats, it seems like, but he's getting good bad contact from these bats. And I mean,
Yeah,
that's not a negative. It's just a type of player that he is. So
Yeah.
it's good to see
Nothing wrong with a little Greg Maddux
Yeah.
type guy where you just know where to pitch the ball
the
to get them out.
.78 whip, and then he's only walked 3 guys too to his 11 K. So it
That's,
looks like he's got
that
the control.
is huge
Yeah.
for me. Okay, that is absolutely just vital for
Yeah.
this pitching staff. The biggest Achilles heel for this pitching staff the last several years, even when the A's were one of the better teams in the league and one of the teams that was in contention, walks. They keep walking guys left and right, and we got to get a guy out there who just knows how to command the ball. So if Cotton can come in here and Minaya and all these guys lead this new wave and they can start to control the walks and start to just get guys out efficiently, that's going to be huge for this team.
Yeah, solid start to his career. Hopefully, you get to see more of it coming as the season finishes up. He probably has 1 or 2 more starts, and then starting next season, I imagine and hope he'll be in the pitching rotation.
Yeah. So we're wrapping up a series with the Houston Astros. It hasn't really gone too well. I think we've dropped the first 2, and then we're playing the next one as we speak. And the Los Angeles Angels, Seattle Mariners, and Texas Rangers are all coming up to wrap up the season. We're going to be hosting Texas this weekend, then traveling to the Angels in their ballpark, and then traveling to Seattle to end the season. So hopefully we can end it on a good note. And, I mean, obviously we're not in contention anymore. It's just kind of a given. But maybe we
Spoilers. Spoil some seasons. It's all relatively context.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what it's all about. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really think we're going to be able
Find
to
the
do
positive in your season.
We're not going to be doing a whole lot to Texas. I mean, Texas kind of has a stranglehold on the
true.
AL West right now.
The Seattle, I think, would be if they're still
Yeah,
fighting.
yeah, that's true. Seattle's still technically in the hunt. We could give them a major blow in that last.
Just get some bragging rights on Mike Trout in between there too. Just why not? Just finish the season off.
That's going to be a bit of a shame because I think he's going to get snubbed from MVP honors again. It's just because
Yeah.
the Angels suck.
Team's terrible. Yeah.
They just suck.
I concur.
All right, and then to wrap up baseball talk for today, we're going to be jumping into some G-Men talk.
Yay!
Orange is the new black.
Oh,
Hey, man, got to be positive about it. You're still technically holding a playoff spot right now.
Yes,
so.
technically we are still in one, but the way our bullpen has been playing, if we could hold on to a game once our starter is out, I am surprised. I think that just goes beyond like even, hey, if we hold on to a playoff spot, do we really think we're going to do anything unless we decide to just pitch our starting rotation 9 innings for for every single game, and just just have Bumgarner go out there over and over again, and I don't have a good feeling about this squad, even if we hold on to a playoff spot.
It's weird. None of the guys really have a terrible ERA. It's just they're giving up runs at very costly times. Because, you look at their ERAs with the guys in the bullpen. Casillas got a 3.72, Lopez 3.81. Will Smith 360, Hunter Strickland 324, but I think it's the amount of threes you're seeing. Every guy is in his own right giving up runs.
Let me give you the September stats of the 3 lead guys who are just doing the worst for the Giants. All right, we have Santiago Casilla. His September 7 appearances, an 8.44 ERA, a 3.16 average, and a 1.119 OPS against. No! God! All right.
Wow.
Yeah. Sergio Romo, 8 appearances, a 4.91 ERA, a 3.53 average, and a 9.77 OPS against.
No! God, please, no!
And then Hunter Strickland, 7 appearances, 11.57 ERA, 3.64 average against. He's recorded 14 outs, and he's allowed 12 men to reach base.
No! No!
Ouch.
Yeah. It is ridiculous. It's just, you can go game by game throughout September of just Strickland blowing a game. Let's see, Casilla blows a game later on in the week. Casilla blows another game later on in the week. George Contos blows not the game, but blows a lead later on. And on the 9th, it's just game after game after game, name after name in this bullpen. It's like there's no confidence and there's no ability to play right now in this bullpen.
You know what? Where I think this is kind of coming from a little bit, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, where some of their farm system, it's been luck. And this is where I'm going with this. So none of these guys, these core guys they brought up, were ever touted as high prospects. None of these guys. Guys like Crawford, guys like Belt, guys like Panic, all these guys come up, and the Giants just found something from nothing. And not to say they're nothing, but they just weren't really supposed to be that great. And they were getting really lucky with a lot of these guys. It was literally all these guys, even guys like Bumgarner, Lincecum, all these guys that they bring up through the system.
Some of these guys are more well. Some of the Lincecum, Posey, Bumgarner, they were kind of well known going into.
But they weren't guys you see the top 100 pipeline prospects and all this kind of stuff.
I shouldn't say Posey, he was, but the other guys, yeah.
Yeah, just a lot of these guys, they just weren't really supposed to be. I use that kind of lightly, supposed to be good. how can you tell if someone's supposed to be good?
Well, you can look at it as luck, but you can also look at it as good scouting abilities to find the unknown talent and what's not, and not the well-touted talent. You can look at it that angle too. But then the argument would just be made that
I think it's a little bit of both, because what I was trying to get at is I just think the luck's kind of run out, because now there's no guys. Because if they had better options down on the minors, they would be bringing them up and letting them pitch instead of these guys who just keep blowing the games. Instead, Bochy's hand is just kind of forced. He doesn't have anybody else to turn to. He's got to just cross his fingers and hope that Casilla finally gets a good appearance in or something like that.
Well, we kept saying when I say we, I guess San Francisco pundits or whatever, Giants pundits, they would always say, we've made so many of these trades trying to win a thing or win a championships, like the Carlos Beltran trade, several other trades before that it might just be it finally catching up to us. We have finally just cleared out our cupboard and we have nothing else in the minor league shelves to bring up. And here's the situation we're at, where the relieving pitchers are all that we've had. The pitching staff is all that we've had because we've given away other guys that we could have used. And I think it's a combination of all these things, really. It's just the perfect storm of a terrible, terrible bullpen.
Well, they also traded this year for Will Smith from the Brewers. He was supposed to be a good lefty reliever that they bring in,
Didn't
a possible closer guy, and then he just hasn't really pitched up to his potential. So, they tried it again this year, and it just didn't really work out that way. Like I said, it's just most of their guys have been guys they've brought up through their system that have ended up playing well. They typically don't do well with bringing guys in on a trade and having a guy come in and play well. You saw that with Leak, wasn't fantastic when he came over. Beltran was pretty decent, but for some reason the rest of the team just wasn't really clicking, and now Will Smith is kind of flaked a little bit. So there's not a lot of guys who come in and just hit the ground running. So I want to talk a little bit about this Bumgarner and Puig situation that happened the other day. So I'm not going to take any sides on it, and this is my reasoning why. Both guys have pretty big egos, honestly. Both guys are pretty passionate players, I'd say. They get really into it when they're playing, so I don't fault either one, really, in this situation. It's just kind of like two heads button, really.
Okay, subjectively, I support Bumgarner. Objectively, though, and this is just the fact that Bumgarner was saying, "Don't look at me."
And they interviewed Kershaw too about the whole situation, and Kershaw just flat out said Bumgarner was asking for it from Puig. He said he was kind of instigating Puig by saying something like that.
I don't know. Like,
I think I also saw that it said somewhere that he was yelling at Puig like F yeah after he got out, something like he was looking at him and said, yeah, F yeah, something like that.
And I don't want to say like, yeah, if he's saying as much as he can, like, I don't blame Puig for going at him whatsoever. And I know as a Giants fan, Giants fans
they're two really big boys, so I think they can each handle their own.
Yeah.
And I'm not really, I'm not going to blame either one. I mean, Bumgarner, when you get a guy out, I understand the passion, like the fire that comes, like, yeah, heck yeah, I just got a guy out or something like that. And then Puig, when you get a guy that's like sitting there, like you kind of think like he's almost mocking you or something like that after you get out. And Puig's a pretty big dude himself. People tend to forget that. I mean, people say that Bumgarner's a big boy, like 6'4", and quite a few lbs on
Puig's
him.
Built.
Puig's jacked.
Yeah.
Sometimes you wish that the bullpens and everybody wouldn't get there so fast.
Oh, yeah!
So something goes down, but I mean I think that would be the last thing that each fan base would want.
Yeah,
really.
it was another great chapter in the Dodgers-Giants rivalry. You know, it's going to build on that rivalry, and I like that.
We mentioned the bullpen a little bit. I think it's time to mention the offensive woes a little bit. By the way, this team has the lowest team batting average in the month of September, and it's not even close. They were, I think, a good 15 to 20 points or something below the team that was 29th. So it's been a rough month for this offense to click as a whole. I mean, I think Pence has been starting to pull it together a little bit, hitting a little bit better as of late. Posey's had a pretty good overall season, but there's just other guys that need to start stepping up. I mean, it was a good sign to see Belt really got a hold of one the other day against the Dodgers. I think Crawford is a guy that maybe has slipped a little bit, and he's needing to kind of regain his form. I think the role players need to play a little bit better. Some of the bench guys that come in and like the late game pinch hitting situations, they need a little bit more out of that. And it's just it's the clutch hitting. You need to get hits when it matters.
I think that lack of clutch hitting that we were talking about for the past 2 months or so since the All-Star break, it's starting to just bleed into all their hits. Like, I think it's hard to me if you say that it's full meltdown, but we're reaching that brink of just
It's because this is a team that just typically does not have high batting averages or high power totals, so they really need to pick and choose when they're getting these hits, and they've been mostly good at doing that for the past several years.
Yeah, they were perfect in the first half of the season at it. They were the best team in the league.
Yeah, that's how they kind of made their way. But
that's their identity as a team.
It's totally flip-flopping, I feel like.
Agreed.
They're filling up batting averages in some circles, like Posey's still near 300, and Pence is heating up a little bit, but sometimes these guys are just getting hits when it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Pence, he's hitting, but he's hitting solo shots in 6-1 games that don't really...
Yeah.
Okay.
Playoff chances, what are we thinking here? If we're just looking at from this objectively, I mean, the Giants, they've got another series with LA coming up.
Yeah.
But they've also got Colorado and
San
Diego that are going to be coming up as well. I don't think the chances are too bad, and this is my reasoning why. I mean, it's not entirely smart to totally bank on the New York Mets with all those injuries to keep on somehow finding a way to keep treading water the rest of the season. So, I mean, it's entirely possible that a team like Philly upsets them and starts to knock them out of the race. That can totally happen, especially when Philly's got nothing to lose, and they're just going to be like, hey, let's just try to be spoilers here. And then San Diego is they're pretty bad. I mean, San Diego doesn't really have a whole lot going for them. And Colorado, you're not playing in Colorado, you're playing at AT&T, which is a big advantage. So I like the Giants' chances. I like their chances of getting into the playoffs. And I don't know if they're going to be able to make the 1 seed wild card, but at least the 2 seed.
Yeah, I would agree with your sentiment. Like, if San Diego is bad, we're at home, and then if we can do good in those 2 series going into LA, I might even be actually thinking about, if the Dodgers trip up a little bit and we win one a game, we could
they're up 6 games though.
I think it's 5. I think it's 5 right now. After
it's just such a big hill.
they'd have to win today.
The Dodgers would have to absolutely fall apart.
Yeah, they'd have to. Well, not fall apart. It's only you lose 2 games. You lose 2 games over 2 series, and then it's a series. Giants would have to sweep or something like that. But I mean,
the Giants would have to win out, and and then the Dodgers would have to go 500 because the Dodgers aren't gonna go 1-10.
No, I'm saying, So the Giants would have to win out. They'd have to win out against San Diego and Colorado, and then the Dodgers would have to drop 2 games.
Yeah,
2 games in those. And this is just I don't see. I'm gonna put him at a 45% for chances of making the playoffs. I don't see this happening whatsoever. I think we're gonna continue on our poor streak of play and just I know you want to believe that it's the even year Giants fans and that everything it's gonna happen, but we're not showing the characteristics of a team that we had when we were playing those games. So I'm not looking forward to it.
All right, there you have it. All right, on to the good stuff. Juicy
football.
We're back with some football talk. It's been 2 weeks into the NFL season, and we've got some headlines for you. Yeah. So, first of all, RG3 got hurt again.
Subway, the official training restaurant of Robert Griffin III.
The Browns still suck, and water's still wet.
Yeah, the Browns were down to their third-string quarterback 5 quarters into the NFL season.
Oh boy,
That's terrible.
That's all
they just went from Cleveland Cavaliers championship to
they were riding that high. Yeah, Isaiah Crowell has been having a good he's been having a good.
Hey, Isaiah Crowell. I mean, he's
he's the beneficiary of being a good player on a bad team at this point, but. Man,
Josh Gordon's still coming back, even though he's got a arrest warrant out. Did you see that?
Does he really?
Josh Gordon's got an arrest warrant out because he refused to show up. He had some subpoenas to show up for I think it was some sort of child support or. Oh my God. I don't remember exactly what it was.
What is he doing?
But now he's got an arrest warrant out.
Oh my God!
But you know what? The NFL.
He was so close.
The NFL being so on top of all the legal issues said they don't care about that, and he can still come back in week 5.
I was gonna say there's no way he doesn't get suspended for that, but I guess maybe if it's an issue they already
Roger
knew.
Goodell's just the greatest commissioner of all time. That's
he's
what
all of a sudden decided just let's show some give him a second
chance. You know
chance.
What? He can be arrested for not showing up to court. That's fine. But if he smokes blunts,
but y'all don't say that.
Man, that is not cool. Not cool. All right, on to the next one. Adrian Peterson also went down for the Vikings. This one actually just recently turned out to be some very bad news.
Yeah,
he's going to need some complete meniscus repair.
Was it just this morning that broke?
I think so, yeah.
I got notifications on my phone this morning.
It was 4 months he might need?
3 to 4. At first they were 3 to 4, or maybe 1 to 2 weeks, and then it went 3. And this is all this morning. 1 to 2 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, and then the last one was 3 to 4 months. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay, he's gone.
Yeah, you know what? We're getting word here that it's about a couple weeks recover. Oh, you know what? Actually, breaking news. He's actually going to be out for a couple months.
We
just got an update on that. It's actually going to be, he's going to be out for the entire year. Wait, he might not even be back for training camp next year.
Yeah, jeez.
It's going to be a pretty significant blow for them. But hey, you know what? They've got Sam Bradford. And he looked good. He took down Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. I mean, that was pretty...
You're going to be asking, but how much is that made by Adrian Peterson? I mean, oh man, it's going to be...
It was all Sam Bradford. What are you talking about? Stephon Diggs, dude.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs is good.
Dude's the real deal.
Yes.
He's almost like the new, the DeAndre Hopkins of this year.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, he's shown his route running. It's just...
I think he's even quicker than DeAndre.
He's going to have a legit year. It's just going to be hilarious. Kind of funny just funny seeing at the beginning of the year that the Vikings, everyone was talking about, you don't really want to get trust a Minnesota wide receiver in fantasy because they're going to be running the ball so much. And we're 2 weeks in and it's already looking like they're going to go the opposite way because Bradford and company can ball out. Ball out.
Yeah. I don't know too much about whether the offensive line's in good shape or I think is it Matt Asiata? Is that still the guy they've got backing up Peterson over in Minnesota? I'm not entirely sure.
It might be.
Who the backup guy is going to be coming in.
And McKinnon too. I think it's Jeremy McKinnon.
Yeah.
I think that's
McKinnon's another one.
Yeah.
So It's going to be a lot of Bradford, though. I mean, I think Kyle Rudolph, the tight end, he's a decent target. He's going to be getting a lot more reps.
He's always been an inconsistent player. I think with Sam Bradford, you might see
that's true. If they can develop a little bit of chemistry and repertoire there, that'd be key for that team. But that's the team I think that's going to be pressuring Green Bay this year. I mean, especially. I mean, we'll get into it now. I mean, what is wrong with Aaron and the pack?
Aaron, where are you?
I don't.
Do you think? Okay.
I mean, we had these picks. Like, we sound so stupid now at the beginning of the year. And I was one of those guys saying, you know what, Aaron Rodgers.
I'd already forgotten about this.
He's a bad man. He's gonna come out there and he's gonna light the league up on fire. He's pissed off. He's gonna be coming back with a vengeance. But no, he just lost to Sam Bradford, Sam Bradford had only been studying the dang plays for a week and comes into Minnesota and beats him.
You blew it!
I think it's just a combination of the players. He didn't elevate the players before as much as we think he did. The Donald Drivers, the Greg Jennings, the Jordy Nelson before this year up to this point, and that offensive line just continuing to be terrible. I mean, Blaine Gabbert is putting up better stats over the last 10 weeks over Aaron Rodgers. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is. So I trust in him to turn it around. It is a 10-game stretch in his career. I don't know how many games he's already played in his career, but
a bit frightening for me is he's had 3 fumbles already. Aaron Rodgers has fumbled the ball 3 times. That's not really Aaron Rodgers like. He's normally a guy with great. They were talking about this the other day when the game was on with Minnesota because he was hit by a guy coming at him, I think from the front side, and they were talking about how he's usually a guy with such great pocket awareness. Yeah. But for some reason, it's just kind of been a bit of an issue this year.
Well, another guy who's just like that, and don't want to digress, but Russell Wilson. But he's been having those ankle injury issues that we do know about.
But he's also been struggling a little bit this year. I think it's the same because they don't have as many weapons around Russell anymore.
Oh yeah, in Seattle. Yeah.
Honestly, they're banking too much on guys like Curse and Doug Baldwin. Those aren't number 1 threats. Those are guys that were just made better by the fact that you had beast mode setting up everything and then play action pass coming out of that.
Rawls got hurt too. I think a little bit, tweaked something in week 2, so they're going back to Christine Michael. So I mean, it's a lot of questions over there in Seattle. But yeah, and Packers in Seattle, two teams that...
So now that we're on Seattle, Seattle drops a game to the LA Rams, man. What happened? Goff didn't even start. It was Case Keenum.
This is a thing that happens in the NFC West literally every single season, all right? And the Niners beat the Rams, and then the Rams turn around and like use that anger and just beat the Seahawks in just a low-scoring game. I swear this has happened at least 5 out of the 6 last seasons. It is just, what's their head coach called? LA Rams. I'm blanking on his name right now. Jeff Fisher. Maybe it's just a Jeff Fisher specialty. The Seahawks have always been a defense, or I don't want to say defense. So yeah, I think they'd be defense and run oriented team, and I guess the LA Rams just can match their physicality and keep it a low scoring game. I don't know. I that's the only way I could think of explaining it because it defies explanation.
Yeah, you got to give credit to the defense too, though. I mean, you've got guys like Robert Quinn and Aaron Donald, and it's a really good, stout defense. So I don't. It sounds weird because the Niners tore them a new one in week 1, and their offense isn't really that great. But I honestly think you got to take that with a grain of salt because the actual potential of this Rams defense is a lot better than what they showed. That might have just been week 1 jitters, first time back in LA since, who knows when. It's been a long time.
LA's big problem is that they have a good defense, but all their coaching staff is our defensive coaches. They don't put a lot of focus on the offensive side. They're pretty terrible. So terrible offensively. So when they have success, it's because their offense gives them just enough that their defense doesn't have to be on the field 24/7 and can actually make plays and turn it around. When the Rams have to be out there on the field all day because their defense or their team is 3-and-outing it over and over again like they were against the 49ers, and then they're going to look terrible. It's just I just think that's the way. It's just 2 weeks. So yeah, I think you're right. I think this LA Rams defense will start to lock it down.
So another thing we've learned so far, great news for me. It turns out the Patriots can just throw out a punter out there at quarterback, and he'd probably get them to win.
Yeah.
That is correct.
I mean, that system is so ridiculously good that Belichick could seriously throw probably one of his kids out there at quarterback, and then they would go out and get a W. I mean, that's just how well oiled that machine is over in New England.
I mean, he's been doing...
No Gronkowski, too. You've had
Yeah.
Gronkowski missing the first 2 weeks, and it just doesn't matter. They've had Martellus Bennett over there at tight end, Julian Edelman and Chris Hogan and Danny Amendola, all these weapons. And LeGarrette Blount has had a revelation this year.
He leaped over a guy. Like, that was amazing.
Yeah, he had a pretty terrific week last week, and he's been just one of the overall better rushers on the season this year. So that team is just... It's good. It's really, really good. And on top of all that defense is still one of the more underrated defenses in the league. Normally, when you talk about Patriots, you're always thinking about Gronk and Brady and all those guys. But the defense, Dante Hightower, Jamie Collins, all these guys on defense, they're so good.
It's just a little crazy, isn't it, that the thing that's happened for the last 13 years happened for a 14th year.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Patriots are good, and the rest of the AFC East is mostly poo.
Patriots are good. Browns suck. AFC East is still bad. The world's still spinning. It's good.
Yeah.
Next, I want to talk about, this is going to be something pretty interesting to keep an eye on for us this season, especially if Goff ends up finding his way into the mix with the Rams. Is Carson Wentz the real deal here? Did the Rams mess up by not taking this guy on the number 1 pick?
I don't think it's an issue between players. You know what I was talking about earlier, how the Rams coaching staff is all defensive focused? The Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff has they're all former QBs. They all have 6 or 7 years.
Isn't Peterson more of a defensive
guy?
No,
he's a QB special guy.
He's offensive?
Yeah, he's offensive special. They're all heavily focused on the QB. Like, their QB coach, they're all guys who play in the NFL, been backup QBs, who are very specialized, good quarterback coaches. And I really think that's the big difference. Carson Wentz is getting a much better introduction into the NFL game than Jared Goff was able to get from Jeff Fisher. And I think that's one of the big differences. I don't believe in the I think Jared Goff got a bad rep just from that what was that show called? Hard Knocks. That started him off on a bad foot, and I think that may be tainting people's vision of him yet, because he hasn't even played in a regular season game yet. So, but I don't think you think that. You were the one who was saying we need to see him once Jared Goff gets on the field. So
yeah,
so
that's true. You can't knock a guy when he hasn't even gone out there.
but I don't, with the coaching staff that the Rams have put out there. The Rams have. I don't have high hopes for when he does get on the field.
That's true. I mean, let's give some shout outs here to Wentz. I mean, the way he started the season, he's at a 60% completion percentage, pretty solid for a rookie coming in there. 94 passer rating, 59 QBR, and he's also got 3 touchdowns on the season so far. Had a couple of fumbles, which is a little bit of a little red flag there, but I mean, for the most part, he's been... what I think is really impressive with this guy, too, is the fact that he's taken some shots when he's been in there, too. Like, there's been some big-time hits on him from, the offensive line just not being able to handle some of these guys coming at him. And he's just bouncing right back up, and he's got that mentality
6'5",
where he just...
237, that's pretty big.
Yeah,
big.
That's a pretty big boy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good guy for them to build around.
Yeah.
I feel like all the detractors, all the people saying... North Dakota State, not a big division of football. He's playing all these weak colleges and beating up on these not so great teams. I mean, it's
if you can ball, you can ball.
You can do it!
I mean, exactly. That's exactly what you would say in that situation. It's just the poise, the pocket presence he has. You just can tell when a guy's got it, and it looks like he's got it so far. Again, this is only 2 weeks into the season, so we can't really start our Hall of Fame case for him yet, but I mean he's certainly on his way to being, I think, rookie of the year at least right now.
Another QB, he's not putting up as many as the stats because he hasn't gone downfield as much as you probably would like him to. Dak Prescott, I think he's another guy who shows that it factor in that he looks so confident in the pocket and he doesn't give up the ball. He looks like that early coming to the league Russell Wilson, just in the fact that he's not going deep and everything. He's not going over the top, but he's holding onto the ball and he's looking very, very confident. So I have high hopes for him as well as QB.
That's true. And then the last headline we want to talk a little bit about is the Broncos D still holding it down.
Yeah.
And it turns out this Von Miller
I was
guy,
wrong
he's still
completely.
pretty good at football.
Completely wrong about Broncos. I thought they would
Yeah.
have a huge setback, but that defense is just overwhelming. Von Miller good at football.
Miller's, he's already leading the league in sacks this year, and he's such an animal. The amount of energy and the big physical specimen he is, just the amount of force coming at you. How do you defend this guy when he's coming at your quarterback?
Well, no one's been able to do it yet.
He's got such a wide arsenal of moves to throw at you, whether it's a spin move to the inside or just like beating you down to the outside, getting around. And like I saw him week 1, he just runs right around all the way behind and then nails the quarterback from the back end.
Yeah, he's
He
just
can do so
unreal.
many different things.
Have you seen the Von Miller Old Spice commercial?
I always take the road less traveled. And if the road hasn't been traveled at all, I make my own road.
I've not yet, no.
He's driving to the game, and he's talking about how he has to make his own path for everything he does. So he drives off the road and starts building a road to the stadium, and it's taken him like days to do it. And he's like, and I'll get there before the game starts. It's like ridiculous. So he's a
fantastic.
great football player, and he's pretty entertaining in any commercial that isn't
Yeah.
a Madden commercial. So
Good for him, man.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion,
Super Bowl MVP too.
MVP,
Yeah.
and he's still
He's
killing
been
it this
banking
year.
on. He's
got
been-
the new contract
Exactly.
as well.
Like
so.
he's exploited, or not exploited, but efficiently used his fame to the best of its possibility, and that's what you got to do when you're in that position. So good for him.
All right, we got to move on to some Bay Area football now. First, the Raiders. It's been a bit of a roller coaster ride so far. So you go from that epic Week 1 win against the New Orleans Saints in the Dome, big statement win right there, beating. It was pretty much offense on offense.
Yeah.
Who was going to have the better offense? And it turns out Derek Carr is a baller. He's been absolutely out of his mind lately.
You know,
Even in this last week, the Raiders end up dropping that game to Atlanta. A bit of a disappointment, honestly. It's your home opener. You're against the Falcons, who aren't one of really the better like playoff contender teams this year. I mean, Matt Ryan's still good, and Julio Jones is still dangerous as hell on a daily basis. But, Derek Carr just can't do that all by himself. He was the secondary and the defense that just struggled.
yeah, it isn't just a roller coaster ride from week 1 to week 2. It's a roller coaster ride from offensive drives to having to play defense.
That's true. That's entirely true. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the riding the highs of being on Derek Carr and Amari Cooper and Latavius Murray and all these guys who are just clicking, and then all of a sudden onto the defensive side where Mack hasn't really been himself this year.
Yeah.
And the secondary's been, just like I said, been getting tossed around left and right at times.
My favorite thing about this Oakland Raiders offense, and this is just such a... Once your offense really starts to click, this sort of play opens up, and you don't see it that often otherwise, is just these lob passes right over the middle of the field that just... You stretch out the defenders so much that you have that room, and you don't see that unless you have an incredibly well-oiled machine, and you have Amari Cooper jumping in the air and extending his air time by like 3 seconds because he can do that. It's just so fun to watch that team play. So fun.
I'm with you, man. Yeah, it's just gonna be fun to see this. I mean, at least the Raiders have something to push for their fan base and for the nation to get excited about now. Like now. It's not just mediocrity running around the field for the Oakland Raiders. Like, at the very least, you're going to see some really cool offensive displays. And they may struggle a little bit on defense, but, it's
early season,
sometimes you can make it work as a decent playoff contender with that. You're going to need to make a good defense eventually to be a Super Bowl contender, but, at least you're
the
having
defense
fun out
needs
there.
to be elite by the end of the season, not by the beginning, or not yet. So I think... the only way they can go is up from here. So.
Yeah, they're dead last in yards per game allowed in the NFL, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
So the only team that's allowed, I think it was like something close to 500 yards on average or something like that. It's just nuts.
Yeah. Well, they have been.
But then on the offensive side, they're leading the NFL in offensive yards per game.
Yeah.
So it's been just pretty much a black and white kind of game for them so far. So their upcoming games. You got Tennessee and Baltimore both on the road, though. Baltimore is going to be a bit of a tough one, I think, in week 4 because Baltimore's 2-0 right now, and you're going to be traveling to their place. Again, you can't take Tennessee too
Yeah, I was
lightly
gonna say
too, because
Tennessee, I like
you got
Tennessee.
DeMarco Murray, you
Yeah.
got Marcus Mariota,
Delaney Walker.
Delaney Walker, the former Niner. I mean,
They
they're
got rid of the wrong tight end there.
yeah, they
And
did.
They should have held on to Walker and got rid of Davis,
Yeah.
but that's that's it for another time.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
so
speaking of Niners, let's get on
All right,
over
let's-
to the Fighting Chip Kellys.
I like that name. I watched that game in week 2, and it kind of sucked in the fact that, we played well in the first half, and then in the third quarter, we made a lot of penalties on third down that extended their drives. So they were able to get some scores, and then our offense kind of sputtered a couple of drives. So just like that, they were up 2 or 3 touchdowns, and then we started to make a comeback. We had a couple cool plays in a row. Ted Ginn tried to gift us the game. I don't know if you saw this. It was a kickoff. Ted Ginn decided to let it bounce in front of him, and it bounced about 25 feet in the air. And when it came back down, he missed it again, and
Yeah.
Sean Drawn fell on top of it. So we were able to score on top of that again. And so it was one of those games where, you feel out of it, and then you get back into it, and then they crush you again on the end. So you're just like, oh, they ruined my day twice now. So it's bitter subjectively like that, but objectively, I like the way the Niners have fight. So I mean, that's the first thing. We don't have the talent yet. We don't have, when we have we have the coaching though, and I think the coaching brings the fight. And if our management can work on acquiring players, I'm kind of really excited to see what Chip Kelly can do. But that was my week 2 review, and we beat the Rams, who beat the Seahawks.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, man, Niners, you'll be a little upset at the fact that you just got manhandled by the Panthers, but you know what? The Panthers, I think, are just on another level. Don't worry about them.
Yeah.
You beat the Rams, who beat the Seahawks, so you're the best in the division.
Yeah.
That's just math right there.
Okay.
You're better than screw Russell Wilson and Jeff Fisher and all those guys.
And
you the best.
We have 7 times the touchdowns that 2 other teams have in this division too. So.
That's true. That's absolutely true. The Seahawks, that has been a big problem for the Seahawks this year. They just can't score touchdowns.
Yeah.
But so the run game, I think, is going to be a bit of a problem going on, just because it's not necessarily bad right now. I mean, Hyde's decent. He's very serviceable at times. I mean, there's times where he's not so great. Like, he struggled against the Panthers. But then again, the Panthers' defense is absolutely amazing. So not going to fault him too much there. But my thing is, you need to have another guy that's going to be at least able to give Hyde some reps off, and a guy that can come in and be a bit of a breather there, but
We don't really have that.
there's nobody there of note. I mean,
Drawn would be the other guy, I think.
Drawn's the other guy, but
Yeah.
he just hasn't really done that much. I mean, maybe he's more of a pass threat and a guy that's a better catch and run guy. But
It kind of sucks too, because I feel like our run game could be a lot better. But have you heard about this Anthony Davis situation? What happened right before they were supposed to play the Rams? They were pegging him to move to tackle, to right tackle, and start at the right tackle position, or maybe it was right guard, and then he would be the backup tackle positions. And he decided he didn't want to play right guard, and it just that left a hole in our offensive line that I really think could be filled right now with a guy who could play the spot. And I think that's one of the big reasons that our run game has looked kind of subpar or par. I don't know, in that area these first 2 weeks. We could really use another guy on that offensive line, and we have him. So it's kind of frustrating,
yeah. Okay, and then Gabbert. I think his ceiling is just kind of average at this point. I mean, he's going to be serviceable. I mean, he's a guy. He's not going to throw the lights out of the place, and he's not going to have an absolutely a disaster of a game. You just kind of get what you get with him.
He's not terrible, and he's getting utilized to the maximum of his ability because of Chip Kelly. So no real complaints from him. I mean, we all knew what the expectations were coming in for Blaine Gabbert. He's a guy who can make a 30-yard really nice throw, like on a post route, and then the next play on a 5-yard out route, just throw it in the guy's feet.
Yeah.
That's the kind of player he is. So Chip Kelly's getting the best that we are going to get out of him. And like I said earlier, he's playing better than Aaron Rodgers over the last 10 games. So there we go.
Okay.
There we go. But I mean, a lot of guys are playing better than Aaron Rodgers right now. He's kind of been struggling.
These facts you have.
Jimmy Garoppolo's been better than Aaron Rodgers too. So the upcoming games for the 49ers, you got at Seattle. That's going to be the true test, I think, if how good are these Niners. And then you've got at home versus Dak Prescott and the boys.
Yeah, I mean, You're right. Seattle, that's a tough one. And Dallas, Dallas has no defense either, so they have a very good offense. Or not no defense either, but they have no defense, so maybe we can, beat them based off just those old rivalry feelings that are on.
I think it's a question of, can your defense hold off Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott and Jason Witten and all those guys, Des Bryant. I mean, that's a pretty high-powered
especially
offense.
with Ray Armstrong going down last week. He was a good
that's true.
linebacker.
That's a bit of a blow
for the 49ers. So I'm a little. We'll see. If we can get 2-2 coming out of these two games, I'll be happy. We can win one of them.
All right, now for a recurring segment on the show for the NFL season this year, Dalton's weekly picks, where I'm going to be running a rough shot, rapid fire right through all of the games on the schedule and giving you who I think is going to come out on top. So New England hosting Houston is going to kick off this week. I'm going to take New England in a little bit of an upset here. Jacoby Brissett starting, but I think he's going to get the job done. Buffalo hosting Arizona. That's a no-brainer for me. Arizona's going to take that one with ease. Minnesota at Carolina. Bradford showed a little bit of promise the other week, so it's tempting to pick them, but you got to go with Cam Newton and company at home. Denver is going to be visiting Cincinnati. This is going to be one of the better games of the week. I'm going to take Cincinnati. Some might view that as an upset, Denver being Super Bowl champions or anything, but this is Andy Dalton's first big statement game of the year. Green Bay hosting Detroit. Green Bay desperately needs to get a win here to stay in the hunt and stay on pace to get the division win this year. So I think they just are going to want this game more than Detroit. So I'm going to take Green Bay. Jacksonville is going to host Baltimore. This is another really sneaky good game, I feel, just because it's in Jacksonville and they're a pretty good young up-and-coming team. Baltimore's been hot, though, so I got to keep rolling with them. They're 2-0 to start the season. They'll make it 3. Miami is going to be hosting the Cleveland Browns. If there is a game to not pay attention to this week, I'd say that one's probably at the top of your list. I'm going to take Miami just simply because they're at home. Washington and New York, this is going to be at the Giants. Interesting one here. It's going to be a battle of two division foes. And I'm going to take New York Giants just because they're at home and they've looked a lot better than Washington this year. Washington's got talent, but they just look way too inconsistent. Tennessee hosting the Raiders. Tennessee's a little sneaky good as well. The Raiders have been on a bit of a roller coaster this year. I'm going to take Oakland to win this one at Tennessee just because Derek Carr has been on a roll. San Francisco visiting Seattle, no-brainer to me. San Francisco is not the team that beat the LA Rams 28-0 in week 1. Seattle is better than them by a long shot. They're going to take care of this one. The LA Rams are going to visit the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This will be interesting because the LA Rams got that really nice defense it's going to be visiting and probably giving Jameis Winston a few problems, but I'm going to give Jameis Winston the upper edge here, and they'll take that one at home. The Indianapolis Colts are going to be hosting the San Diego Chargers. This seems to be a battle of the offenses here. Phillip Rivers versus Andrew Luck. I'm going to take Andrew Luck and company simply just because they're at home and they desperately need a win because it's been a struggle to the start of the season so far. Kansas City is going to host the New York Jets. This is also going to be a really good game. I feel like New York Jets have a really good stout defense, and Alex Smith, Spencer Ware, and company over on the Chiefs side. It's going to be a close one, I feel, but at the end of the day, it's going to go to the Kansas City Chiefs just because they're playing at home. They're going to have that energy with them. That division seems to be a lot more winnable than the Jets, so I think Kansas City's going to be a little more hungry for that one. And I'm just not a big fan of Ryan Fitzpatrick being that clutch. On to Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. This is a no-brainer for me. It's in Philadelphia. Carson Wentz has looked pretty good for Philly so far. They're 2-0, but Pittsburgh is just on a different level. Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, and company, they're going to roll on in there and take care of business. Dallas and Chicago. This will be a somewhat interesting game. Cutler obviously out for the Bears, and you have to deal with Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Jason Witten, Des Bryant, all at home. I think Dallas is going to be too much for Chicago to handle, and they'll take that one pretty easily. And finally, the Monday night game is going to be Atlanta visiting the Dome in New Orleans. I think this game will be closer than some people think. It's going to be a bit of an offensive shootout, to be honest. I mean, you've got Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, and then the always dangerous Drew Brees on the other side of things. I'm going to take New Orleans simply because of that raucous crowd over at the Dome. And that's going to do it for this week's picks. Well, I think that's just going to about do it for today's episode.
Alrighty.
Good one.
Yeah,
I think
got our
it was a good
football
one.
stuff.
Yeah, got some baseball, got some football, basketball.
Sing,
It's
too.
just around the corner. We're
yeah.
almost getting there.
Oh, hell yeah. Can't wait. All right, social media, Dalton.
All right, still at Dalton Wicks on the tweets. Also, just my name on Facebook.
All right, at EH24 The Mamba on Twitter, Eric Harmon on Facebook, N Harmon Show podcast on Facebook, on iTunes, on Flickr?
YouTube and Spreaker.
Spreaker.
Yes.
Spreaker, not Flickr. Flickr's a photo site.
But yeah, go give us a subscription over on iTunes. Get up-to-date shows every week when we throw them out there. And then also watch YouTube. Tell your friends on Facebook and Twitter. Spread the word around. We're having fun doing it.
Also, this is like, we need to figure out what episode number we're on, because we might just we're hitting the number 20 on iTunes. I don't know if we put all the episodes on iTunes, though, so we're like the 20-24 range right
We'll
now.
have to start
so.
thinking about doing some specials for y'all.
Ooh.
All right, but that's going to do it for today. Any last words?
Have a good day, have a good night, whenever you're listening to this podcast, folks. If you're listening on the toilet, I hope you're having a good time. See you later.
All right, you stay classy.